welcome to Agriculture Professionals event, day one. I'm so excited, I can't help it. But before I continue with the rules of engagement, what we're going to be doing here today, I've got someone to outline the purpose of why we are gathered here this morning, right? My name is Sharon Tebele, an admin officer based in the Val office, and I would like to welcome one of our own, actually, Mr. Magua, to come and do opening, welcome, and purpose of today. Mr. Magua?
Good morning, Mr. Bele. Good morning, our audience. Good morning, our students and our esteemed guests. And we are so honored and privileged today that we are standing here because we are having this session with you, whereby we're going to be doing a job readiness session, especially in the agriculture program. There's lots and vast opportunities that one can explore, that one can look into. But we wanted you to hear it from not from the horse's mouth, but from the correct people, from the relevant people that are going to be sharing their hearts out with you. So we have a lineup of speakers that are going to be speaking to us this morning. So with that said, we don't want to take it on our own. We don't want to be selfish and keep the speakers to ourselves. But what we are looking to do is to say that let's allow the speakers to be free, to be by themselves, actually, to be sharing their knowledge with us. We have Dr. Krishna Veil from Consumer Science, Clothing and Textile, who will be talking to us today. We also have colleagues also from the same department who deals with nutrition and dietetics. We also have Mr. from nutrition and dietetics. We have Cedric Clarko, Mr. Cedric Clarko, who will be talking to us about that. And we also have people who look after our animals, who don't want to see animals being harmed or being abused. From SPCA, we have Mr. Litejo, who will be joining us later. And then we also have colleagues from genetics section in the life sciences of agriculture. We have Mr. Swisu Malindisa. We also have Ms. Tinama Kwachu from Department of Agriculture. I believe you have lots of questions for them in terms of funding, opportunities, farms, chickens, pigeons, rabies, and all those things, and even crops as well. We also have Ms. Makosazana Masuku, who is also a Unisa student and an entrepreneur. So definitely, we want to know what can we do, how can we expand ourselves, what can we do with the little that we have. And finally, on our program, we'll be having Dr. Pichwani to close us out. But that's not all. I believe this session is going to be very interesting, very engaging, very powerful and touching lives. So we are appealing to you, our attendees, our students, to follow the instructions from the program director, who will also guide us in terms of how to conduct our session. So the purpose of this session is to try to let you in, even those who are already in the agriculture section, that you can expand yourself, you can diversify, you can also be able to reach out to other things and other people or other sectors. There are some unexplored fields or that have not been so widely exposed. So we are appealing to you that don't shy away. Ask about the cooperatives, ask about renting farms, ask about I see in Joburg, I forgot the name. Is it the ones doing plantings on top of the flats in Joburg or in any other area? I know that we have students from different campuses, different regions, different areas, especially students from Gauteng. As I'm in Gauteng, what else can I do with the little piece of land in my house? Maybe you only have a veranda that you can utilize, or what can you plant indoors or outdoors or by the window? I don't know, but that's what we can explore. There's people who are doing agriculture economics that can also maybe touch on those things, how to get funding, how to get support, how to get assistance from fellow farmers, from fellow researchers, because agriculture is very broad. I think all of us, we are living agriculture. First thing is that in the morning you had your breakfast. I think that's agriculture. You are wearing clothes, that's agriculture. You put on makeup, that's agriculture. So we have a fuel in our cars, that's also partly agriculture and a mixture of engineering. So we want to say we want to open this opportunity and this platform to you, our students and our guests, to engage. We also appealing to our guests, don't hold anything back. Remember, we invited you. We are humbly asking you to share whatever you have with us. Leave everything here with us. And if you have some more, tell us where we can get some more. So with that said, I just want to say Student Counseling Gauteng Region want to welcome all of you. And we are also looking forward to your questions, your comments, and your suggestions. If you want more of these sessions, please do let us know so that we know what areas you want us to do. There'll also be evaluations that are going to be asking for your inputs, your suggestions, and then what else can we do? The other appeal is that please make sure that you read your invites all the time, because some students had already joined in yesterday on the invite. Some are going to join when the event is already passed. So every time when we send you invites, we are asking you to check the dates and the times and the slots when you're supposed to log in and join in. I just want to pause here.
Thank you so much, Mr. Michael. That is one of our own student counselors. He is capable of making a presentation while doing an opening and welcome. Let me just ask Dr. Kundaram to prepare himself. Doctor, are you here?
Thank you very much, Sharon, and thank you for the opportunity for allowing us to present our curriculum in clothing and textiles. Ironically enough, this is one of the programs that very few individuals out in the community knows that Unisa is actually presenting. And so we welcome this opportunity to share with our students as well. And we also welcome any questions that they may have. So once again, thank you for the opportunity. And I'm going to be presenting on consumer sciences in the Department of Agriculture and Environmental Sciences. And in the Department of Life and Consumer Sciences. So if any students are looking for us, that's where we are. But I just thought so that our students are aware where to find us, because the navigation tools go from one screen to the other. So I'm going to share initially what's on the website and what we are going to be in the College of Agriculture and Environmental Sciences, and also where you can find us. We're in this brown tab here, and also the curriculum involved in it. So we are here. And this is our undergrad qualification. The entrance level is mathematics at senior grade, which is 40%, or maths literacy at 50%. So and of course, English is another entrance criteria as well. And you can see up here, there's the URL for any student that wanting to find us. And as you can see, it's the screens are very user friendly, because there's the application, step 1, what you do, step 2, step 3, and it just goes on until you get to the actual outcomes itself, right? So these are the degrees in the College of Agriculture and Environmental Sciences, and you can see it's all mixed here. This is Life and Consumer Sciences that you're currently looking at, and here we are. We've got 2 streams in this in our qualifications, which is Fashion Retail Management and Fashion Small Business Management. Fashion Retail Management is more for the student that wants to enter into a retail environment, such as an Edgar's or a Truworths or a Woolworths. And the Fashion Small Business Management is for students that are already running their own business or would like to start a business in clothing and textiles as a CMT, or making uniforms, or making wedding dresses, or whatever it is that you wish to make and sell as a clothing item. And the curriculums for both these streams are geared towards modules that will help you to build yourself. They are all entry-level modules. And in the fashion retail, you're going to have to enter and then work yourself up the hierarchy within that organization. Right? So this is just a screen to show you what it looks like. Like fashion retail is one of them that I picked it where it is. NQF levels. You need to 360 credits when you finish your degree. We'd advise a student to finish their degree between 3 and 4 years, because we're continuously updating our curriculum with advisory boards, where industry, other universities, consultants, magazines, other academics would sit on this board, and we generally come together once every 2 or 3 years. It depends on the amount of improvements that we need to make, and we get advice from the industry, including government, as to how we need to be moving the curriculum forward so that it's relevant to our student when they're out there looking for jobs. Right? And as you can see on the screen here, there's this different tabs here of admission, student fees. You click on that and it'll take you to what you're looking for. And up here it says maximum time to complete is 8 years. That's from the time you register, and if you take 8 years, you can get your qualification within that. But we advise students to finish their qualification as quickly as possible, so that whatever they studied for is still relevant in the industry, although we continuously update our curriculum. All right, admission requirements. I think I touched on this thing here. It's senior certificate, 50% in the language of teaching, which is English, 40% maths, or 60%, sorry, I apologize. It's 60% maths literacy, right? And so students can, this is the entrance criteria. If you fit the criteria, then you can join the program. This is fashion retail management again, where I'm just showing you the purpose statement, and every qualification as a purpose statement, sectors that you can join, the modules or the different disciplines that are within it, because in consumer sciences, we don't only have clothing and textiles, we've got hospitality, we've got nutrition, and we've got food. So it gives you a little bit. And then if you want to know where the modules are and what every module entails, like the first one on the screen here is ESL 1501, which is clothing construction, and that's a theory, and the 1602 is a practical involved with the theory. All our theory and theory modules generally are semesterized. Our practical modules are yearly modules. That means that a student has to apply for that module at the beginning of the year, or as soon as registrations open for the next year. And they can only get their marks in the October-November exam session. But if it's a semesterized module, then it's for 6 months. And if you pass the module, then you don't have to do it again. You can choose other modules, semesterized modules in the next semester. So in our first year, we've got a lot of modules, as you can see: introduction to marketing, business management, workplace English. Those are modules that we actually have on the main campus, where we link into those faculties that develop these modules, and our student takes the modules from them, but the qualification resides in the Department of Life and Consumer Sciences, and it's a consumer sciences qualification. And then in the second year, it becomes more specialized. As you can see, now we start talking about modules that are relevant for, in this case, the fashion retail stream. Generally, our stream modules, the first year is very generic, and then the second year becomes very specialized, second and third year, into modules that we think industry requires, or historically, those are modules that have been in the system where we would update and present. And as any CLO module is a clothing or a textile module, right? And then we have a mixture of clothing and textiles, and also merchandising, retailing. These are all knowledge that the student needs to require at entry level to get into industry. And then this is just some of our third year modules, like the psychology of clothing. You need to know why you're buying, or why you like certain colors, or how colors blend together. Clothing range planning. I mean, we do this all the time. When we're going on holiday, we pack a suitcase, and you color coordinate, and you pack shoes and handbags and dresses and trousers and that type of capsules. We call them clothing capsules. So when you go on holiday, but you also do it in your everyday life where you're wearing clothes, and why we choose what we choose and the psychology behind it. Our modules are a mixture. There is a lot of science involved in it, but we unfortunately don't have facilities on the Unisa Science Campus to test textiles, but that does not mean that a student cannot think about a postgrad in it and with their supervisor, and we can accommodate the student. But a lot of our postgrads at the moment are clothing and clothing related modules. And later on, there's a video which is only 5 minutes. With the permission of the program director, I can just quickly show you where it takes from undergrad into postgrad, which is honors, masters, and PhD, because a lot of students don't see the link from undergrad going through to postgrad. All right, and this is just my modules brochure. You will find this information. If, for example, you want to choose clothing construction practical and you don't know what the prerequisites, co-requisites are, and what the purpose is of that module, then this is where you would find it. All right, and I just want to caution students again that please register for your yearly modules at the beginning of the year, and in the fashion small business stream, we've got the clothing practicals that go from first, second, and third year. So you got to finish your practicals in that order. You cannot do them all together in the same year. And if, for example, a student gets left with one practical module in their third year, then unfortunately, that's the only module they're doing in the third year, and they're going to delay them from going out and looking for jobs or going for that promotion that they're studying towards. And then I was asked to especially touch on the career streams or what type of jobs our student can get into if they do clothing and textiles. And it's on the screen, it's self-explanatory, but I'll just go through the headings itself. You can get it into a fashion small business designer, which is doing the fashion small business stream. You can become an illustrator, a garment technologist, and here it's a lot to do with the quality of the product. In like Woolworths, for example, would have a garment technologist employed within their organization in Cape Town, and they deal with quality-related issues of garment sizing, fit. Conducting studies, focus studies, those are things that fall under a garment technologist, fashion merchandiser, fashion buyer, but all these are entry-level jobs except the fashion small business designer. If you're already in the business, then that's not entry-level, but everything else would be entry-level. Quality control inspector, you go to other companies, or you go to within your own organization. If, for example, there are a lot of CMTs that make garments for Woolworths and Truworths and Edgar's, you can quality control the product for your company from the CMT. Then there's fashion stylists. You can become a blogger. You can be a costume designer for a theater company, a fashion educator, or someone like myself, where you can eventually go and start teaching either at university level or consumer sciences in school. But with that, if you do our degrees, you still got to do a teaching degree to go out and teach. Right, so I've now come to the video, so I will just quickly just show you what happens from a research perspective. But the objective of having a scanner at Unisa is that we South Africans don't have our own garment sizing and system. So hence you have all the issues with fit issues with garments, and we all experience that. Even a little child whose trouser is too loose at the waist and it has a belt on will tell you that my trouser is falling down, I need a belt. So we do not do any children's studies at the moment because of the ethical clearance that is required for that, but we can scan from 18 onwards. So we've done a lot of studies with it, and currently I've got students that have already graduated from this using scanner studies, and currently also in the process of graduating. So thank you very much for your time and attention. I think that's the end of my presentation. There's my number there if someone wants to contact me, or they can contact Tandi at the top, our departmental secretary and administrator, and we can help you. So I'm quite happy to take any questions now, Sharon, and I'll hand it over to you.
Thank you very much. That is Dr. Pandaram Krishnaville from Consumer Sciences, Clothing and Textile. Who knew that Unisa has a 3D body skin? I didn't. Let me just allow Mr. Sebi to take the stage. Sir?
My name, as well introduced, is Cedric Tlaku. I am a lecturer here at Unisa. I am a nutritionist myself by profession. I am a nutritionist by background. I studied Bachelor of Science in Nutrition, and I am fully registered with the Health Professional Council of South Africa. And I'm very glad this morning that my presentation follows Dr. Pandaram's presentation, because we are located, or we are found in the same department, which is the Department of Life and Consumer Sciences. Now, pretty much how she explained how you can access us is how you can also access a Bachelor of Consumer Sciences in Food and Nutrition. It is housed under the College of Agriculture and Environmental Sciences and found within the Department of Life and Consumer Sciences. Now, this morning, I'll talk briefly about careers that are, available in nutrition and dietetics, but I would like to, dwell much on nutrition, because I am personally a nutritionist by profession, and the degree that we offer under the Department of Life and Consumer Sciences, which is the Bachelor of Consumer Sciences in Food and Nutrition, focuses more on nutrition. However, if you have done that degree, you do not register with the Health Professional Council of South Africa as a nutritionist, but you are just a consumer scientist within the food and the nutrition stream. I've got to put that out there. Now, if you are passionate about healthy living and helping people achieve their wellness goal, consider pursuing a career in nutrition. Now, in this presentation, we will explore the types of jobs that are available and the education and skills that is required and the challenges, and as well as the opportunities in the field of nutrition. Okay. Okay. Now, for you to qualify as a nutritionist, you register for a 4-year degree with Unisa has what we call a Bachelor of Consumer Science in Food and Nutrition, which is a 4-year degree. Upon that degree, the coursework will include nutrition, will also include courses such as your nutrition and non-communicable diseases. You will also, enroll for basic sciences, where you undergo just a basic science, module or, subject, so that you understand the sciences very well. Now, you also need a background of science in order to qualify to enroll for this degree. You need to have at least enrolled for physical sciences or, mathematics, and also biology or life sciences. Now, it's a 4-year degree that automatically allows you to enter into your master's degree upon completion. So you do not necessarily have to go to the honors degree once you have enrolled for the 4-year degree. You then begin to have, gain access into your master's degree upon completion of the degree. Now, these are the types of nutrition careers that we have. Now, a nutritionist focuses on the overall health and works to promote good nutrition habits in individuals and groups. And you also have a food service manager who would manage the food service, would manage the food service operations in hospitals and other institutions, ensuring that nutritious meals are provided always. Sharon, hello?
Yes, sir, you can hear you.
Okay. No, no, no. I was just checking if I'm still on the line. Now, you can also become a researcher as you study further within this stream. You can also become a researcher who conducts studies and research to further the field of nutrition and dietetics as well. So as you further your studies, as you register for your masters, for your PhDs, you become more of a researcher, so who can work within the research institutions, who can work within the institutions of higher learning where you are teaching and conducting researches and working with communities, so on and so forth. Okay, now we have the work settings in the nutrition and the food science streams. You can work as a nutritionist within a community or a public health sectors. Now, nutritionists work with schools, as you would very well know that today we have our school nutrition programs. Now, within those schools, you need nutritionists who will train people in order to prepare, safe and nutritious meals. You can also work within the non-profit organization or the non-governmental organizations. Now, myself, upon completing my degree as a nutritionist, I worked for an organization, an international organization called the FHI 360, which was more concerned with the people living with HIV and AIDS. So I'm just emphasizing that within the nutrition stream, the road is quite very broad. You can also work within the non-profit making organization to promote healthy eating or to address food insecurity or obesity, as you would very well know that today we are having obesity as a problem in the country South Africa and in the world at large. You can also work at fitness centers, where nutritionists work with athletes, sports teams, or individuals to help maximize their performance or achieve specific fitness goals, looking at their diet or looking at what they are consuming. Okay. Moving right along, we also have here on our slide the skills that are needed in order to succeed within the food and nutrition stream. You must be a good communicator. Communication as a skill, effective communication skills are essential in order to build strong relationships with clients or patients or people, colleagues, and the public at large. You also must be an analytical thinker in order to succeed within this field. The ability to evaluate and to interpret data is essential for developing effective interventions plans in order to assist communities, in order to help people to attain or achieve their uttermost health through food and nutrition. So you must also be cultural competence. Now, sensitive to the diverse needs and customs of different populations is essential to provide appropriate nutrition counseling. Now, you must understand people at large, who they are, where they come from, what their cultures and traditions are, so that you can also be able to help them in a language or in a way that they understand you. Okay. Now there are also, very many opportunities for growth and advancement within the food and nutrition sector. If you look at it in agriculture and food production, many professionals play a role in improving sustainable food production and supply chain. Now, at the opening of this forum, the speaker mentioned that agriculture is nearly or almost everything. Now that is very much true, because we cannot speak nutrition without speaking about agriculture. Now we also see the technology and the innovation, the new digital technologies and medical advancement are creating opportunities for nutrition professionals. We now today have what we call Uber Eats. People are ordering food through Uber. That's an advanced technology. So within that space, within that sector, a nutritionist can also play a very vital role. Now we also have the food service industry. Now healthy eating trends have led to new opportunities in the industry, including restaurant management and menu planning. Now we see the parachuting of restaurants and eateries or eating places in the country, as you are opening these small shopping centers and shopping complexes in villages and semi-rural areas. They come with them the new the food service industry, the new restaurants, so on and so forth. Now that also create an opportunity for people that are playing their their trade within the space of food and nutrition. Now moving right along. Now, there are also challenges that are facing the industry, or, sometimes, or, when you have challenges, also that create an opportunity for professionals to mitigate or to deal with those challenges. Now, the food insecurity in the world, even in wealthy countries, many people can't afford healthy food. So we have a problem or a challenge of food insecurity in the world. We also have the obesity epidemic that I have already spoken about. Poor diets and sedentary lifestyles are contributing to the obesity epidemic around the world that needs nutritionists to deal with. Today, we have people that are using lifts more than they are using stairs. Today, we have people that are sitting on their couches for hours and hours watching TVs, watching their favorite programs. They are not exercising. They take their cars to the car washes, so on and so forth, because it's convenient. But also, it brings with it many challenges. Now, we also have new nutrition trends. The new, diets and trends emerge frequently. But this also create an opportunity for nutritionists to deal with all these challenges that I am talking about. Oh, I've already spoken about the skills that are needed, the opportunities, and the growth advancement, as well as the challenges facing the industry, and the also open opportunities, for us to engage research further in order to deal with all these challenges that we are talking about. That would be pretty much my presentation, Sharon, this morning. And without any further waste of your time, I shall then pause at this stage.
The question is from Pumela Mpokwana. She's asking, are there any short courses available for being a nutritionist, or it has to be a full 4 year?
Okay, no, that's a very good question. There aren't short courses for being a nutritionist. However, we do have within the life and consumer sciences within the department, we do have a short learning program which is in nutrition and food safety. It's more designed for these ladies who work with the school nutrition programs, or it's just a short course that opens you up to basic nutrition terms, basic hygiene, basic things that one needs to know in order to know to understand nutrition better. But we do not have a short course that can make you a nutritionist. You really have to enroll for this 4 year program in order to become a nutritionist. Thank you very much.
Do you need a combination of nutrition and consumer or just nutrition?
Okay, the basic difference is that at Unisa, what is offered is consumer sciences, Bachelor of Consumer Sciences in Food and Nutrition. Now, as I have said in my opening, in my presentation, I said if you are becoming a consumer scientist, you do not necessarily register with the Health Professional Council of South Africa as a health worker. Now, the Health Professional Council of South Africa is just a regulatory body that regulates and manages the nutrition profession, the nutritionists and the dietitians. But with UNISA, you study Bachelor of Consumer Sciences in Food and Nutrition. Now that makes you a consumer scientist. So yes, I hope that addresses the question. Do you need a combination of nutrition and consumer or just nutrition? Now you need this combination to do what? I'm not sure if I'm getting the question correctly, but I hope with what I have said, it addresses a little bit of what you are asking, Jonas Scully. Thank you very much.
Wow, very, very interesting. Thank you, sir, for responding. I'm just going to ask our next speaker, Ms. Makosazana Masiko, to prepare herself while we take the last question, because our presenters, our two presenters are not available. We keep getting disconnected. So I'm just going to ask Ms. Makosazana Masiko, who is a Unisa student and also an entrepreneur in the College of Agriculture and Environmental Sciences. Ms. Masiko, just kindly prepare yourself while I take the last question, and then we can move to you. Any questions? No, doesn't look like it. But thank you, sir. Thank you for presenting to us. Thank you for sharing your knowledge with us, and thank you for giving us your time. If ever there are questions coming in the chat box, we kindly request that you respond to those questions. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you to you too. Thank you very much.
All right, and taking the last question, please hold up. I'm a final year B.Ed student, and I'm involved in agriculture, and we do have a farm. And again, I'm also helping community in agriculture under the Forgotten Nation of South Africa. Now, my question is, if I want to study in agriculture, can I do a postgraduate?
Okay, this is a Bachelor of Education student. I think for you to enroll for a postgraduate degree within, the consumer sciences, the student really must inquire within which stream, does she want to follow, and in that Bachelor of Education that they are doing, what courses are they enrolled for, which modules are they enrolled for, what can she best, pursue as her or his post, a graduate, line, given what she is doing now and given what is available. I think the students might want to contact the department. Dr. Panduram has shared with us the contact numbers of our departmental secretary, so that can be arranged and the student can be assisted in that regard. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Mr. Sako, for the response and holding up as well last minute. We may leave you from the stand. I'm just going to allow our next presenter to come in, Ms. Nancy. However, some of the questions that are coming up in the chat box, our presenter will respond to them once they are up the stand. Thank you very much. Ms. Makosazana, our Unisa student and entrepreneur, the floor is yours. The next question in the chat box says from Nomvuselelo. She's asking, hi, I'm doing nature conservation and I have a problem in repeating the modules many times. These are my last 3 modules, and when I ask for the other assessment option, I don't get answers because because the last time was an issue of an online writing. I told my lecturer that I can even arrange and come because I'm working within a nature reserve where network is an issue. When I get into town, so load shedding is an issue and networking is an issue as well. When there's load shedding, can someone give me Can someone give me someone who can give me options for this last 3 modules? I guess this question is directed to the department. Is Dr. Pandaram still here?
Yes, I am.
Yes, Doc. Can you kindly assist with this request? What can the student do, or maybe give them directions on advice who they can contact?
All right, this is the nature conservation students. So in the college itself, we have a college coordinator that handles student inquiries as well. The email address is caseinquiries@unisa.ac.za. I can put it into the chat for the student and she can make the inquiry with the college, because I think in our exam guidelines, we specifically state that there are certain issues like connectivity. The day they're writing, load shedding is beyond UNISA's control. So that's for the student to handle and to sort out, but maybe Diane from Case Inquiries can give the students some other type of advice. I don't know. This is a difficult one because even our exam, like I said, exam guidelines, we specifically state that there are certain things that's outside UNISA's control and we cannot help the student with that if it's outside their coursework. So I don't know if I've answered the question, but I will find a Case Inquiries email address and I'll post it in the chat now for the student.
All right, that really helps a lot, Doc. Thank you very much for responding to that question. And I think we do have someone who's going to present on that maybe today or tomorrow. Maybe the student can join me also then, but those contacts would really come in handy, Doc. Thank you very much.
My name is Makosazana Masugu. I am a student at Unisa. I am actually doing chemistry, but you know what? I am an entrepreneur in the agricultural sector. It's something that I love so much. I'm passionate about. So I'm actually going to be giving my talk on my journey as an entrepreneur. The motivation that actually made me to start going into this journey, and challenges as well as future plans for me being in this sector. So as I've said that I'm not in the same department as probably most of this workshop, but I'm in actually a different department. So this is the outline of my presentation. And actually, we all know that agriculture is actually divided into 2 groups, which is crops as well as raising livestock. I'm actually focusing more on crop production. Yes, livestock is actually amazing. It's beautiful. But for my start, I actually started with crop production because it was actually the limited space that I had during that time. And as well as there were many challenges that I actually faced in terms of raising livestock. So I then went on into farming. So why did I start farming? I was actually staying in a very small townhouse. I started with small veggies, putting them into tires. The food was expensive. The place where I was actually staying in, the food was actually expensive. It was for health reasons. Then now I discovered that actually this can be my way out to financial freedom. I started small. I started selling. I will sell spinach. I will grow spinach. Spinach was my number one and is still my number one best selling product. So I started with selling spinach. So with just a small packet of spinach, I managed to make a lot of profit. up to roughly 300-400 rands with just buying a 23.99 packet of spinach. So I could see this thing was actually good for health reason. It was actually cutting my cost, but at the same time, I was making a living out of this. So I decided, why agriculture? I decided maybe it's high time now I go into farming like a business, farming like a permanent thing that I enjoy doing. So most students are currently doing agriculture in our days, they can survive by just not looking for jobs. In farming, you don't need to look for a job. You are your own boss. You can provide jobs. You can create jobs, and you can share the knowledge that you actually have with the people out there. You can actually improve the community through your crop production. So my journey, when now I decided to start as an entrepreneur, first I was asking myself, will I be able to start this journey? I didn't have knowledge. The only knowledge that I had was knowledge that I've actually gained while I was still in grade, you can say maybe grade 8. I didn't have the capital. I didn't have the irrigation system, but I had the passion. I wanted to do this more than anybody else. I knew I was capable of doing this. So one day I decided, no, it's high time I go into entrepreneurship full time. I was staying, as I said, that I was staying in a townhouse. So it was time for my husband to buy a home. We started looking for a home. Then I asked myself, do I want a home that I will actually stay in, or I want a home where I can actually practice more of what I've actually started, because it was interesting. It was something that I loved more than chemistry. I'm sorry to say, but at some point I realized, no, let me go full time into agriculture. So I started small, simply by making your own compost at home. You can start agriculture. You can make your own compost. You can buy seeds from any shops that sells agricultural seeds. You can then produce your own seedlings at home. I'm talking about a farmer who doesn't have capital, somebody who is asking themselves, how can I survive? Will I be good enough? But you can start small. Then I started small, but as time grows on, in this picture that you see here, it's what I've been planting for over a period of time. I started with a small packet of seedlings, but over time I've actually grown into planting over 800 spinach, over 1,000 cabbages. I'm no longer going to shops. So I'm my own boss. I am actually controlling what I eat. And at the same time, I'm actually making more money for myself. So one can ask themselves, how do you start? You are a student. You're afraid to start. One, because you're thinking selling is not for me. That was one of the challenges that I was actually facing as a first-time farmer. Will people buy my product? I'm a graduate, I'm educated, so I cannot just go and start playing with soil, or I cannot just grow instead a farm with cows, or probably with goats and chickens. Why can't I just go out there and look for a job? But one thing that I actually realized, farming gives you a peace of mind. You know, from the time you see the plant growing, the germination, and up until it goes out to the market, it has that fulfilling. It's like you're being part of something that is actually big. You're actually being part of a community, and you're actually feeding the nation. So that's how I went into agriculture. So I was a shy person, but because of the passion, because of the purpose, and because of the goal, and because of the benefits that I could see in this agricultural sector, I wanted more. I wanted to learn more. I started reading. I started going into Googling, just trying to equip myself because I'm somebody who doesn't have much background in the agricultural sector. So I started reading, I started making mistakes. The good thing with people who are actually in agriculture, who are actually studying agricultural sciences, is that now they have the education. Now, because you guys, the people, the students have the education, it is easier now to make it simpler and to make it more practical, because it means whatever they have learned at school, they can now apply it in real life, and they can now see what is actually going to happen. So that's how I overcome my challenges. I wanted more. I overcame my fear of not knowing if people will actually support. I started selling from door to door. I started being sociable, something that I was not too comfortable with. But I knew, because it was something that I was loving, something that I was actually passionate about. So one can ask themselves, didn't you actually meet challenges along the way? Definitely. It's a new field that I'm not familiar with. I didn't have water. I didn't have fertilizer. I didn't have pesticides. And I actually didn't know how I was actually going to control some of these diseases. But through learning and through visiting other farmers, as well as through going to agricultural workshops, I had to learn. I had to learn. I had to learn. I had to learn quickly, because in my case, it was not something that was being told over and over. So I was actually teaching myself. So I managed to get into this new place. Then I actually started at first I was actually using municipal water. Then I could see whether this was actually expensive. I will make sure that I conserve every drop of water that I will get, especially from rain. I started making my own fertilizer. I started actually making my own fertilizer by just actually using compost from decaying compost, then also collecting your chicken manure, which was less costly, because at this time I didn't have money. I'm talking about a student who is thinking, so what now? I'm unemployed. I don't have money, but how do I start? I mean, collecting your own compost is the best way to go when you're still starting, as well as reading more about organic pesticides that can actually be used, for example, in your crops to prevent some of the diseases. So I had to go on to read, to equip myself, to try to make this exciting as it should be, because I knew I couldn't afford the high cost, or I couldn't afford the expensive pesticides and fertilizers that were out there. So I had to use what was actually around me in order to grow to be something bigger. So now that I have planted, now that I've actually planted my crops, now that I've actually have my crops, I asked myself, since I was actually now starting to go big, where do I sell this product? Who is going to be my target market? The first people that were my target market, it was my community. I started selling around the community. I started selling to vendors in town. Those people are the most buying customers that you can ever imagine. I started to approach shops like ShopRite, Boxer. These shops actually supports black businesses. I started to sell in schools, in hospitals, in restaurants. The market is out there. All that we need is to actually go look for it. The market will never actually come to you. You are going to be going out there to look for the market, because it's your responsibility as a farmer to go out there to make it work no matter what. So people can say that there is no market. I am telling you, there is a market. Shops like Boxer, shops like ShopRite, they will buy 200 spinach every week without fail. If you've already set up your farm, you're producing good quality products, there is market for farmers. So that's how I actually started going out there to look for markets, and it was actually beneficial because that's how I started to grow. So now that I've actually seen that there is actually life out there, people are interested in my product, they're interested in the quality. Remember, you are a farmer. Quality is very important. Quality is very important. For people to want more of your product, you have to give them quality. So quality involves you. When you're a farmer, you have to be present in the farm. If you have people that are actually helping you to grow your farm, but you have to be present, because the minute you are not present, you will not be able to see what is lacking in the field, what diseases have actually affected your product. So you have to visit the farm, even though you have people that are actually there who are actually helping you, but you as the farmer, you have to be always there. Again, you have to ensure that you keep a diary. A diary is very important in this kind of a business, because it helps you to track if there are any challenges that are actually happening, or if there are any problems that are actually happening in the farm, because you will know when was this planted, when was this treated, and when is this supposed to be actually harvested. So now that I have the farm, it's a small farm, but I will say the future is bright in agriculture. The future is there. You can be your own boss. You can leave your children a legacy that they will never forget. You can teach the community how to survive. You can teach your friends, your family on how to make a living through agriculture. So the plan, now that you started small, I will repeat, if you are a new farmer, never ever go for loans. If you have never planted, or if you have never done it practically, stop with loans. Start small. Grow from starting with one packet of spinach from ShopRite, which cost 23 Rand 99. Grow from there. Exercise your skills to see if you can actually sell your product, because a business and agriculture is all about selling. It doesn't matter whether your product is good. You can't be product. And then you need to work on that skill. So now that I saw that I have started with a small farm that is actually can take up to 800 cabbages, can take up to 800 spinach, or close to 1,000. Now the bigger picture, it's being built in my head. I can actually go bigger with this. I can actually go out there for a bigger land. I can learn more, maybe enroll for an agricultural course, look for advice from other farmers. I can now start searching for funding. You cannot start searching for funding before you start small. You can start small, see how the practicality of what you've been learning all along. Then from there, you can start now, because most organizations or most government sectors, they do not fund you if you haven't started. They are funding companies that have actually started, that have actually shown to be doing something, because they want to fund you based on the site visit, what they've seen. It doesn't matter even if it's small, but if they've seen that you've actually started, that's where most of this organization or the government sectors come in to fund you. Then from there, you have to ensure that now you have the proper funding, or you've started you want to grow this farming into big hectares, or you want to go maybe for even for outside market. Then now you have to ensure that the irrigation system is well set up. At start, you can start with a watering can. I started there, from a watering can to an irrigation system. Stages, stages, and stages. Start small, grow. Don't eat the money that comes from the farming, just to make sure that you start small. The end goal has to be clear. Where are you going? Where are you starting? Where are you now? And where are you going with this agricultural science? So there are actually a number of fundings that are actually present, that have actually been put up there for agricultural sectors. Even though, in my point, I haven't gone out there to find the funding, because I've been a little bit divided. Bit of my studies are taking most of my time, and I've been farming. I can say it's still a small scale farming for me. If I'm still farming like your 800 spinaches or your 1,000 cabbages, it's still small, because at the end of the day, as you grow as a farmer, you eventually produce over 20,000 cabbages over, because that's where now you are supplying bigger markets. So for me, it's still small. The purpose or the goal is that once I'm done, because at this moment I'm still clouded by my studies, which I'm actually currently doing here at Unisa, and now I have to be responsible for the farm. But as for agricultural students, you are in this field, you can make sure that you go for this fundings, you write proposals, you lay your plan out there to say, this is what I am looking at, and this is how I'm actually going to achieve it. So there are many funding opportunities, but they're actually waiting for you, for me, to go out there to present a proper work plan. Then from there, we can actually take it. Other fundings that actually come, they come from your municipalities, the agricultural department. They also provide, for example, if you're a first-time farmer, you can actually go to the agricultural department to actually say that you're asking for advice. If you feel like you also need advice for your soil testing, they can actually advise you on where you can actually do all those things, especially the agricultural department. Even if you're a young farmer who doesn't have 23 rand to buy seeds, they do provide seeds for you as a startup to say, we see you, we see your vision, we want to support you. You can go out there and find that information. So with that said, I can actually say farming is very interesting. I am doing it. I've been doing it from 2018, 2019. I'm currently doing it with no educational background, with no, I cannot say, with no knowledge of what I was doing, but with just passion. I was able to develop a plan. I was able to develop a routine, because agriculture, it's a routine. Once you've planted, you stick to that routine. You stick to the right irrigation system, irrigation. You stick to the right treatment for your diseases, and like I said, you keep your diary, because a diary is very important in agriculture. You can decide to go into either animal farming, or you can decide to go to either crop production. But as a young entrepreneur who has been doing this agriculture for some time, I can advise that you start small. Probably we'll start with the crop production, because there you can grow, and from there you can go into the animal production. My plan for the future is to actually go into the animal production, because now I have a start that I'm actually working on. So as young students who are in this field, you can be your own boss. You don't need to go and look for a job. The day you decided that I am taking an agricultural course, it was the day where you chose your path to say, I can be my own boss. I can feed the nation. I can keep a healthy lifestyle, and I can live from there. I'm telling you today, most of the millionaires that are actually around the world, it is through agriculture. Yes, science pays. I'm a science student. Yes, science pays, but agriculture pays more. So once you have the land, you have the cash. So with that said, I hope I can encourage students, encourage anyone who is actually looking into agriculture. It is dirty money, because you have to get your hands dirty in order to make that money. But I'm telling you, there is a life in the agricultural sector. And if you take your course, you can make it.
Well, thank you
Yes.
very much.
So there is a life in agriculture.
I'm not sure. I lost sound for a while.
Can you hear me?
Yes, now I can hear you.
Hello?
Yes, now I can hear you. Thank you.
I'm trying, let me try to connect with a. Hello?
Yes, your connectivity is intermittent.
Hello?
Maybe try and connect with a different device while you take the questions. Is that okay? I think we lost her there.
Oh, sorry about that. I think it's the network problems. So that's it. That's my journey, and it can be anybody's journey. And I'm happy to be invited to such a platform. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much, Ms. Makusazana. Thank you so much for sharing your passion. You can tell from how you're speaking, that so much passion. And while you were speaking, I tell you, I am going to get my hands dirty,
Thank you.
It's beautiful. And I think a lot of our attendees as well could actually read into your passion as well. You're very much passionate about what you're doing. And congratulations, you found your calling and you actually navigated the way into it. Thank you very much for sharing with us. We do have questions for you in the chat box. Before we take questions, let me just make sure that our next presenter is on standby. Mr. Ditseho, are you here? Mr. Ditseho from SPCSA, are you here?
Yes, I'm here. Can you hear me now?
Yes, thank you very much, sir. Just raise your hand so that my colleagues can assist in making you a presenter. And then in the meantime, we're going to take questions for Ms. Makosazana. Thank you, sir.
Yes.
All right. Can we just give her a round of applause, some love? I know you already done that. Just some love, you know. She was so great in her presentation. And I really appreciate her sharing the passion with us, you know. Thank you very much. You can see the love coming through you, right? We did have a hand though from just take the hand. Okay, do we have any hands? Okay, nothing. But we do have questions in the chat box. I'm just going to take a few of them. Some of them are comments.
Okay.
I'm just going to take two of that. That are related to on animal production. Is it on animal production? Is it that open? I have a bit of resources for that, but not sure if it's open as plants production.
On animal production, is that open? I have a bit of resources. Okay, for the animal production, I can't say much in terms of the animal production, because in my case, the challenges that I met was safety. You have to ensure that it's safe for the animals, because they are stolen a lot, and I'm not too sure about the funding that is actually there and the market. But definitely, I do think that there is market, there is funding, but safety has to go a long way in terms of ensuring that the animals are well protected, because they're easily stolen, especially the place that you are actually in. So has to provide that safety net for them. In terms of funding, I'm not too sure, but in terms of the market, yes, the market is there as well.
All right, I'm going to take the last question. Thank you for responding to that question. Now, the last question is from Tinisani Nglecha. What is an attitude of big shops such as ShopRite, Boxer towards your product? Do they buy your product or they want to buy it with peanuts if they are?
Okay. Which shops like Boxer and shops like ShopRite, they actually buy your product. But remember, once you are into a large scale farming, you are, let's say, normally spinach, it differs. What I've actually realized is that, let me say, for example, spinach, the selling price in the UKZN is different from the selling price in Gauteng. In Gauteng, the spinach is still cheaper as compared to UKZN. So definitely prices that are actually going for Gauteng, they will be much more cheaper. Most of those people that are actually selling the spinach in streets, they're selling a packet for 10 rand, or they're selling a packet for 12 rand. Definitely places like Boxer, places like your ShopRite, they will buy your good spinach. They will buy it at 8 rand, which is actually not a loss. The pricing comes with the quality. If you sell quality spinach or you sell quality product, in most cases, even though they can be skeptical in terms of the price, but if they see that the product is good, they actually buy. Because I was selling my spinach to ShopRite and Boxer at 8 rand, while I'm actually selling to the people around me at 10 rand, because that's how spinach is in the Gauteng. Everybody plants. So again, this farmer has to take note of the planting seasons. You know, now it's going to be January. Everybody is going to be planting. It's going to be summer. Everyone is going to be planting. So you have to take note of the market. I've realized that, look at the market. when is spinach expensive? Spinach was expensive starting from January up until now. Spinach is very expensive. It's going in Gauteng for 15 Rand. So that's when the farmer has to plan, because even Boxer and ShopRite, they will take the price. They will take that markup price. But if you're going to be planting, when everybody is planting, then that's when the problem will start, because it's out there. Everyone has it. So have that calendar, know when to plant. Don't plant when everybody is planting. Then it will be easier that way.
Thank you so much, and thank you for the opportunity to talk about the work that we do here as SPCA. All right, firstly, I would like to start by saying, as SPCA, we are actually a branch, you know. We've got branches all around in many provinces and in many towns, but we also have a mother body, which is called National SPCA. Obviously, they oversee all the SPs, all the branches, making sure that they doing the right things. You know, they are the ones that will come and do and check on all the SPCAs if they are following the law and they are doing what they're supposed to do as SPCAs. So firstly, I would want to say, just to explain what SPCA stands for. I know probably most of you knows that it's a Society for the Prevention of Cruelty to Animals, meaning our core function is to prevent cruelty to animals. We do more education in all the places that we work at, especially in your townships, even in towns where people have domestic animals and others have farm animals and so forth. I was listening to the presenter now talking about farm animals. We do go there and do inspections there to make sure that people treat those animals, you know, in a good way. You know, even though they are farm animals that are going to be sold for meat consumption, but where they are, you know, it's the place is good, it's clean, they're fed, you know, all those kind of things. Now, at the branches, the core function of the branches would obviously be preventing the cruelty to animals, but we do take animals to be at our branches. There will be people who would surrender their animals to us as SPCA, different reasons. Some, they can't take care of them anymore. We're talking about mostly domestic animals. They can't take care of them anymore, or they are relocating, or some of these animals will find them, especially dogs, will find them on the streets. We pick them on the streets if we can, because some we can't do, they run away. But we always try, you know, to remove them from the streets and bring them to us. And when they are here, the unfortunate part is, as much as we would want to adopt out all the animals, but the people that would come on that branch or to that branch, they have to, you know, select whatever animal they would like to adopt, you know, for themselves. So unfortunately, you find that some of these animals, they are not adoptable, and we'll have to put them to sleep. Well, we euthanize them. You know, there would be sick dogs, not adoptable dogs or cats, you know, all these animals. Unfortunately, because obviously we can't, you know, keep lots and lots of animals here. The reason is, again, we don't want animals to be kept in a small space. And on branches, we keep them in small spaces, but waiting for somebody to come and adopt them and give them freedom. So that's why we, unfortunately, if we keep them here for long, then it's not good for their minds, you know. So that's the reason why, unfortunately, we'll have to put them to sleep. Well, okay, that's the pound that we do. and we adopt them out, like I said. And honestly, people come and they adopt from us, and we have a process. When you come to us to adopt, it depends on what type of animal you want to adopt. If it's a cat, we'll come to your house to do we call it a pre-home inspection. Why? Because we want to know where the animal is going. Two, we want to know if the person can really afford this animal. Afford it how? By making sure that the dog has, that animal has food. And when the animal is sick, they're able to take it to the vet, you know. They shouldn't call SPCA because most SPCAs don't have vets on site. So you need to be able to afford a vet to adopt from SPCAs. Obviously, most cats live inside the house. Next of the cats live inside the house. So you prepare for them. You want to see the preparations for that animal that you're adopting. If it's a dog, we check. Say you're adopting a German Shepherd. If you adopt a German Shepherd, obviously we need to check your walls. They need to be higher than at least 2 meters high or higher, because German Shepherds obviously they can jump walls. If you adopt a pit bull, they also jump walls. So we don't want problems. We want these animals to be in your yard and never go out and cause problems outside your house. Say now there's somebody who wants to be part of SPCA, right? At SPCA, we've got inspectors and we also have field officers, right? Inspectors enforces the law. We're using a law called Animal Protection Act. That's what we enforce. If you read the Animal Protection Act, it speaks about a lot of things. It actually tells you about things you shouldn't do when you have an animal, you see. And some of the things I've just spoken about, that dogs, if it's a dog being in a confined space, chained, not taken care of, and that sort of things. We believe that animals have to be part of the family. They need, be loved, be cared for. If it's a dog, obviously it will protect you, but you need to give that love to that animal. So you have an inspector that would make sure that he enforces the law, and you have a field officer that works, that do more education than enforcing the law. They know the law, but unfortunately they don't enforce the law. They rather educate first. The inspectors can open a cruelty case against somebody who would cause a cruelty to an animal and never wants to listen when he's been educated. So they are able to open a case against that person. For instance, I'll give you an example. We have a case at the moment here. There's a person who was a Rottweiler breeder. So he used to cut tails of the puppies, which is against the law, the Animal Protection Act that we're speaking about. Dogs are not, you're not supposed to maim animals, whether cut ears, whether cut tails. That in South Africa, it's against the law. So, and this person was educated before, knew about this, that she shouldn't cut the tails. So when we went for inspection, we found that there are puppies. After she's been educated 3 years ago, but there were puppies already there with short tails. That told us that this person has been, she continued to cut tails, of these animals. So obviously we go through the process of taking pictures for evidence and everything, and gathering evidence, getting everything that she used. Okay, before you do that, obviously we work with courts. For us to be able to enter the property, we had to go to the courts and get a warrant. So that warrant, we're able to search the house with it. And in most cases, when we've got a warrant, we go with the police because, obviously we don't use guns ourselves. And if the person fights us back, unfortunately, we won't be able to fight back. So in most cases, when we go to such places with a warrant, we use the police to accompany us. So we are able to work freely. And the person, as we speak, is being okay. There's a court case. It's still going on. So we are able to take a person to court, but the only people who would do that would be inspectors. Are we still there? No? No?
Yes, able to
Okay,
hear you.
sorry. I just wanted to check because I know I can talk a lot. So yes, and at SPCA again, you can study further. Okay, when you want to work for SPCA, I think I need to cover that part. That if you want to work for SPCA, honestly, there's no. You don't come with a qualification. If you've got a qualification, yes, you can. But at SPCA, say if you've got a matric, obviously, but you need to have a passion for animals. That one is fundamental. It's very, very important. You need to have passion for animals. With your matric, you can start. Then, and National SPCA would be the one that provides the training. For the East Inspector courses, there at National SPCA, and there's field officers courses at National SPCA. And you can also become a chief inspector. In other words, from being just an inspector, you can study further and become a chief inspector. It goes with ranks. And the other thing that would, push you to go, higher would be determined by the cases you are able to open and win. If you win those cases, that also gives you, it takes you higher in ranks at SPCA. So you need to make sure that you don't just, work with, when you have compassion for people. Sometimes that doesn't really work. You need to have compassion for people. But remember, we are at SPCA, we are not there for people, we are there for animals. If a person is wrong and they don't want to listen, you have all the right to open a case against those people. Because remember, you are there for animals. I'll give you an example. One day, there's a certain guy who had a pit bull. So the community was angry because there were stories about pit bulls obviously killing kids. And just to elaborate there, many people think that pit bulls are monsters. There's these dogs that one shouldn't have. But in most cases, with my experience, we found out that most pit bulls which would have killed kids or would have done harm to people were the pit bulls which were enclosed in small spaces. Now, that really harmed their minds, If you enclose a dog even if it's not a pit bull, it's just a normal dog that you would find ekasi or find komahaye going all around, those dogs that would go to all functions. If you take that dog and enclose it in a small space, one day you would go in there, try to feed the dog or try to do something, it would bite you because already you've stressed that dog, So most of those pit bulls that we find that they beat kids, they killed kids, they were confined in a small space. But dogs which are socialized, that lives with families, not saying not everybody would take their dogs in the house and sleep with them in the house, but for as long as they know that there are people in the yard, they've got space in the yard, they play in the yard, and they play with people, they live with people, they become dogs. And automatically, if anybody would enter the yard without your permission, they would definitely protect you. So this guy, I was still talking about this guy who had a pit bull. The community wanted to kill that dog. Why? Because it's a pit bull, number one. And when this guy walks the pit bull or this dog on the street, he wouldn't use a leash, and which is totally wrong. It's against the law. You need to use a leash when you walk any kind of dog, whether it's a pit bull, whether it's a German Shepherd, you need to use a leash. You need to be in control of your animal, All right. So what I told the people when I got there, I said, unfortunately, when I'm here, I understand your cry, but I'm not here for you, but I'm here for the animal. In other words, none of you should hurt this dog. As much as you're scared of this dog, you shouldn't hurt this dog because I am here for it. And for you, and the only people who would protect you would be the police, because police obviously work with human beings and I work with animals. So when I get to a place, say a dog is biting somebody, the first thing that I'll do is to rescue the dog. That's what we do because we are there to protect the animals. You see, so yeah, that's what I wanted to bring in. That as SPCA, we are there for animals and animals only. Okay, the other thing that we do as inspectors, we also inspect places like your zoo, petting zoo. We inspect places, for instance, animals. We inspect pet shops, because they also sell animals there. We need to check if the animals are okay, the animals have food, have water, they are living in a clean place, We also go to play circuses, when people would, what's the word? Not play, but okay, use animals, to play with those animals. We need to go there and check if those animals are okay, are in good condition, they are not sick, they've got, all important stuff like water and food. Yeah, that's what we do as SPCA. And what else? I don't think I have so much to say, but yeah, that's what SPCA is all about.
All right. Thank you so much, Mr. Ditaka, for making so.
Sorry. One last thing. Outreaches. Sorry. We also try by all means to go to communities and do outreach. Why we realize that especially our Black communities, most of them, as much as they've got animals, right, they would rather, like for instance, just feeding on the feeding side. No, dog has to eat pop. Dog has to eat anything that when they go to events, someone will be collecting food, leftover food and so forth. Why are you collecting this? Oh, I've got a dog. So those are the things that when we go to communities to educate about that, you know what? Animals shouldn't eat food with salt because it's not good for them. If you were to cook for animals, you need to cook food without salt, such things. And people don't know that, especially dogs, can eat vegetables, that it's very important for them. Bones are not good for dogs because we've seen so many cases at a vet where bones are stuck in their intestines. And one of the cases was a guy used to feed his dog. Every day he would buy a plate of chicken and pap. Now, that dog was so constipated that because of the bones, it couldn't, relieve itself. So when we took the dog to the vet, a vet has to give the dog a laxative just to drain out or take out all that hard stuff inside. And we advised him obviously to buy dog moles, and the dog went back to, the body shape. It was now okay. So people don't really know. So those are the things that we will touch on when we get to the communities, especially the nutritious part. It's very, very important, and that they should know that they need to take care of these animals as they would take care of themselves. Outreach is also very important, and it's done by obviously by what's this? Field officers. Inspectors would go, but mostly it's done by field officers. Then when we get there, we'll also do obviously educate about the importance of vaccinations. People don't know. Some dogs, puppies die a lot in our communities, and people think they were poisoned. And you find that, because I would get calls, somebody say, no, I've got a puppy, I think somebody might have given this puppy a poison. But when we get there, or when they bring the puppy here, the puppies actually have what we call parvovirus. Then when I ask, have you vaccinated the puppy? No, they've never vaccinated the puppy. And the puppy will be about 6 months by that time, never vaccinated, dying of parvovirus. So we'll educate about those things, that you need to vaccinate your animals. 3 vaccinations are very, very important. We do them at SPCAs, but you can also they can vaccinate your animals. All right. The people that vaccinate here at SPCAs, you need to be trained as animal welfare assistants, and register with the vet body, veterinary body, as an animal welfare assistant. Then you'll be able to vaccinate the animals. I don't know if there are questions.
Okay, we do have one question in the chat box. First, which SPCSAs normally have vets on site? Secondly, we have a large stray cat population in our area. We don't mind the cat as they don't cause any sort of property damage. Our concern is keeping the population in check. So my question is, could the local SPCA help with the spaying and neutering of the cat?
Okay, I work for the Springs SPCA. Here at Springs SPCA, we looked at the cases that we would go to, right, to do inspections. You find that the people adhere to I would say the instructions that we would give them, or actually, appreciate the education that we give them and rectify the mistakes, that we would find there. But now you find that the person has breeding pairs, and they don't want puppies, they're tired of this dog having puppies, and they don't know what to do. They love their animals, they love these dogs so much, and they don't want to give them away to SPCA. They want to keep them, but now the problem is they keep breeding and breeding. So they cannot afford vets, because for a medium-sized dog at the vet, we're looking at about 1.5 to 1.7 to sterilize. And obviously at the vet, they weigh them, and like your male dog will be a little bit cheaper than a female dog, but the price obviously is high. So what we did, we said, okay, we need to find a vet that we can speak to that can assist with spaying animals at a cheaper price, to assist the communities, so that even we go to such cases and they can be able to afford the price that you will tell them about. Unfortunately, we cannot do sterilizations free, because the vets won't be able to do them for free for us, because obviously they buy the stuff. So what we do is, as I speak to you, I don't know how many dogs we sterilize for the communities. We work with a hospital in Midrand. It's a huge hospital in Midrand, and they sterilizing our animals at a very reasonable price. So we advertise on our Facebook, and people book and come and register their animals, and we take them to the hospital, obviously, get sterilized, and we bring them back to them. Yeah, so that it's very, very important to us as SPCA. We even when we do inspections, we always advise people to sterilize their animals.
The first one was just which SPCSAs normally have vets on site?
All right, this side of where I stay, Boksbeek SPCA, this side has a vet on site. I'm not sure about Tshwane SPCA. The last time I checked, they did have vet on site. So I'm not sure if they still have. Tshwane SPCA also had vet on site. Senton okay, we call it, okay, Centon SPCA next to, it's not far from Alex, right around there in Marlborough. They do have vet on site also. So unfortunately, it's not all SPCA that can afford to have a vet on site, because remember, as SPCA, obviously they are an NGO, an NPO, so they are solely relying on donations, you know. So obviously the government do assist for pound. You know, pound will be those dogs that we, you know, people surrender, we get on the streets and everything. However, if like I said, you know, your Santon SPCA, they have heavy muscles, you know, from that side, so they are able to afford and to have a vet on site.
All right, thank you for that response, Mr. Isafo. Thank you for the questions. However, we encourage our students to continue posting the questions in the chat box, and we just humbly request you to respond to the questions in the chat box since we are behind schedule. Is that okay? Mr.
Okay,
Isafo?
not a problem.
Thank you very much, sir. I understand that our next speaker is running behind time as well. He's a busy man. Sister Busisa Malindisa, are you here? He's going to be presenting on life science genetics, and then he's going to leave us. So any questions, you continue posting them in the chat box as well, as he can respond to them whenever he is. Mr. Malindisa, are you here?
Yes, I am here. Thank you. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you, sir. The video space is yours. Let me just confirm, do you have a presentation?
Yes, I do. Thank you.
Very much, sir.
Can I share my screen?
Yes, absolutely. You're welcome.
Thank you. Can I confirm if you can see my screen?
Yes, we can. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you so much. Good morning, everyone. Good day, everyone. I'd first like to say thank you from the committee for inviting me to speak to you today. And I am from the Department of Life and Consumer Sciences in the College of Agriculture and Environmental Sciences. And today I am going to talk to you about genetics. So in my PowerPoint titled Exploring the World of Genetics. So what is genetics? So genetics really is defined as the study of genes at all levels. This includes the way that they function and also how they are passed on from parents to offspring. So you may have heard in your life somebody saying that you look like your father, or you have your father's eyes, you have your mother's ears, or you are shorter, you remind me of my grandmother. And this is because of genes that are being passed on from parents to offspring. And these genes, really their function is to give us the characteristics that we see physically. Okay. So what is really a gene? So a gene really is that unit that carries that information, that hereditary information, that those instructions that tell the body to behave or a cell to behave a particular way. These genes are usually contained in a molecule called DNA. Okay, so DNA is present in all of our cells, and you will see later how we use DNA and this information to improve the lives of people, animals, and things around us. So this DNA molecule is basically responsible for the passing on of genes and also for the coding of the characteristics that we see in the human. So if you have blue eyes, for example, there will be a specific gene that codes for blue eyes, which you would have gotten from your parents. So basically in genetics, we are interested in studying the DNA itself, which tells us about the structure of the gene, what is within the gene, and also what is the function of that gene. That can also help us to understand how then are those genes transferred from parents to offspring. So genetics is a very, very old science, and it has helped us in many aspects of our lives, including agriculture, in health and medicine, in industry, as well as research, which is where I participate the most. So I will share with you some of the impacts that genetics has had, and I hope you find them interesting. Starting with agricultural impacts of genetics. So we know that some parts of the world experience drought, where there's usually no rain and the water resources are so scarce such that the crops do not survive and usually die. However, we also know that there are some plants that survive in areas that don't have any water. For example, an aloe plant that you see there that survives in a desert-like area where the resources of water are very minimal. So what we have done as geneticists is we have studied what is it that gives this plant that ability to survive in the drought area. And we found specific genes that give it that ability. So now with our knowledge then, what we have done then is we have created new crops that can then survive those drought conditions. So understanding what gives this aloe plant that characteristic of surviving the drought, we then took those genes and introduced them into our normal crops, allowing them to survive even when there's no water. Also, some people are currently using it in breeding of animals. So usually when they breed cows or chickens or goats, most of these animals cattle that we use as food sources, we usually want to breed the best type of animal that will have the best kind of meat, that will produce a lot of offspring and also be resistant to disease. So now understanding the genes that either cause susceptibility to disease or the genes that give that animal the ability to have more offspring, we then study those and now we breed the animals with the best genes so that we come up with a nice cow that has the nice meat, but also has a lot of offspring, which means more money for farmers and more food for us as human beings. So genetics really in agriculture has gone a long way. So those were just few examples of what genetics has done, but it is being used in many, many different aspects in agriculture, including biofortification, which really means that we are now putting nutrients into our crops. For example, golden rice. So golden rice contains beta carotene, which is then converted in their body to vitamin A. So people who lack vitamin A in their diet would usually eat this golden rice that you see up there that already contains the beta carotene. And how we did this is we introduced this into the rice so that people who have vitamin A deficiency, when they eat the rice, their body can convert that beta carotene into vitamin A. So there are many, many, many applications of genetics in agriculture, such as making sweet or larger fruits or even animals. So if you see an example here, in 1950, a chicken would weigh less than 1.2 kg, but today a chicken can be up to 5 kg or even bigger because now we understand the genetics of making the chicken a bit bigger, and therefore we have genetically modified some of these animals to produce more meat, which means more food for us. We also make crops that are resistant to disease, and sometimes some people take it even further and make new products. If you see there, it's a pink pineapple. So you've never seen such a thing. So it's a mixture of either 2 or more genes from other fruits to form a new product. Genetics has also been very, very critical in health and medicine. And we have created genetic techniques that allow us to actually detect disease, which is diagnosed, and also treat diseases with a genetic component. And for us to be able to do this, we need to understand the genetic basis of the disease, which means then we go back to that first picture that I showed you of DNA, and we look at that DNA and we see what is it in that DNA that is different from someone who has a disease and someone who does not have. These are some of the classical examples of applications of genetics in health and medicine. For example, here we use these techniques to diagnose diseases. For example, Down syndrome. So usually children with Down syndrome would have extra chromosomes. So you can see on that genotype there that is being shown there that a normal person will have a pair of chromosomes, except X and Y, which are usually one chromosome each, but then all the other chromosomes up till 22 must be 2, 2, 2. If there's a duplication of that chromosome, which means there's an extra chromosome, then there's a likelihood of the human developing a disease. So understanding how our genotype looks like also helps us to diagnose what disease a human being might have. We also use the same knowledge of diseases to also try and study diseases in animal models. What you see there is a fly and a mouse. Okay, so what we have done there is we have induced cancer in these particular models so that we can study the disease not in the human but in the animal model, so that it's much easier for us to study the disease and it's much quicker as well. Also, you may have heard of DNA testing. Okay, genetics is very applicable in DNA testing, where people are not sure about whether, am I the father of this child? Am I the mother of this child? You know, things like that. People then would come to us as geneticists and say, please test this DNA against mine so I can find out whether the children are mine or not, or whether I haven't met my father and this person comes and says they are my father from nowhere. So I need to be sure about whatever that they bring to me. And this was also used famously by Oprah Winfrey when some people came up and claimed to be her siblings, and then she had to do some DNA testing to confirm, because as a billionaire, you know, you are very cautious about people coming to claim to be your family or things like that. So genetics really has assisted on that end. Also, you may have heard in the past few years, 2020, 21, of the SARS-CoV-2. There was a lot of trend in the news about the South African variant. I'm sure you would have heard in the news, there's the South African variant. So genetics really has allowed us to be able to find these particular variants of the virus through sequencing. So in a way, that's how then we report and we see the changes that we see in the particular virus, and it allows us to detect and also report to the world that, hey guys, we are finding now there's a new strain of COVID, and it might be more infectious or it might be less infectious depending on how their genetics look like. Interestingly as well, we use genetics in forensics. So you may have seen probably CSI and all of those crime documentaries where they go to crime scenes and they try and collect biological samples to try and link the crime to a particular perpetrator. So DNA fingerprinting or forensics comes in there. Also, you may have heard of the 9/11 disaster that happened in the United States on September 11th, where these two planes crashed into these buildings in America, and a lot of people died. Below there is also another picture of a tsunami which happened in Japan many years ago. So a lot of people died there, and a lot of people could not be identified because they were either banned from the American 9/11 saga, or their bodies could not be identified properly from the what is this now? From the tsunami. So then that's when DNA fingerprinting came into power. Then when families were looking for their family members, they know that my family member was there in that building during that time. They are nowhere to be found, but there are bodies that have been found that cannot be identified. So using the genetic information of that body and the family that's looking for their loved one, if they match these things, then they are able to identify whether it's your family member or not. In a recent case here in South Africa, where Thabo Bester escaped in the prison and they bent this poor guy's body, and they were able to identify that this body belonged to Katlego using DNA fingerprinting methods. In the industry, genetics is still quite applicable because we use genetics to produce our pharmaceuticals. The vaccines that have been going on around, those have been produced through genetic engineering. We also have, we also use genetics in industry to clean our water. For example, water that is contaminated with a particular, let's say, for example, oil. If oil spills into the ocean, we know that there's bacteria or microbes that can digest oil. So what we do is we genetically modify this bacteria or microbe to have the power to absorb more oil. And then what we do is we introduce then these microbes into the polluted environment and allow them to do their job. Genetics does not only end in the lab or in a physical space. We also do genetics in a computational space. So people who are not interested in touching actual specimens in the lab can still do genetics on their computers or PC. And this is called bioinformatics. So what we do then is we look at sequences of DNA from various animals or plants or people, whatever, to try and understand what genetic makeup they have and how does that influence how they look like or why do they have disease or not. And of course, there's ethics that guide our way of handling genetics. So ethics really talks to what is it that we can do with genetics without messing too much with nature. Okay, so for example, people who want to do genetically modified babies, we cannot do that, okay? Because now, if you want that, then it means you want a baby who's smarter than other people, because we know which genes are responsible for the smartness. Or you want a baby that will be tall and have long hair so that they grow up to be a model, things like that. Those are the things that we cannot do because ethically it is not okay. So for you to be able to do genetics, you need to have life sciences, mathematics, and English in your high school subjects. But I'm sure my colleagues who are from the admissions office can guide you as well in terms of the percentages that are required and so on. But the core subjects that you really need for genetics is life science, maths, and English. So what can you do once you've got, let's say, for example, your 3-year degree in genetics? You can go into being a research assistant or a lab tech. So what you do there is you help senior scientists in the lab to do experiments and analyze data and so on. So for example, if you are working with a senior scientist who's interested in studying which genes are responsible for making the maize drought resistant. Okay, so you would be the assistant in the lab that actually probably goes to sampling, goes and takes the samples of the plants, bring them in the lab, you extract DNA and you study that DNA. Okay. You can be a genetic counselor assistant, which means you work alongside with genetic counselors. I'll tell you more about what genetic counselors do. You could work in quality control, where you look at how the accuracy of these tests that I mentioned previously. You can go into sales, where you sell genetics testing devices and services, where you sell some equipment or some reagents to universities and research institutions, to pharmaceutical companies. Or if you're not interested in that type of work, you can be a writer or communicator, where you just translate what researchers are doing in the lab and you translate it to the public. You communicate such things to the public, or you even communicate it to other fellow researchers. So this is what you can do with your 3-year BSc degree in genetics. However, if you want to do the more advanced type of genetics, then you would then have to pursue postgraduate studies in genetics, which means then you have to do your honors, your masters, and your PhD sometimes for you to be able to do such jobs. So coming back to being a genetic counselor. So what genetic counselors do, these are the guys that if in your family there's been a disease that has been going on for some time, genetic counselors are the people then who you would approach first. They would try and trace and see where does that disease come from in the family. So they would want the entire family history so that they can see that who in your great-grandparents was first presented with the disease. And then now we are seeing it in the parents, we are seeing it in the children as well. So these guys actually are able to trace and track what is the transmission method of that disease. Does it come from the father's family? Does it come from the mother's family? Which gene is the problem in that aspect? Okay. You can be also a clinical research associate, where really you manage clinical trials for example, genetic testing, or you manage clinical trials for drug discovery. So if there are people who are testing drugs against cancer, you will see later, which is where I participate. If you want to test drugs against cancer, you have to run clinical trials to make sure that that drug is effective against cancer and does not cause any other malfunctions in the body. You could be a lab manager, you can be a biotech product manager, and you can be a bioinformatics specialist, which is then that computational side of genetics. You can be a research scientist, which is what I'm doing at the moment, where you conduct research in genetics and you publish your findings in journals so that you advance the knowledge of genetics in the field. You can be a university professor, which is hopefully where I'm headed. You could be a lead researcher in teams, either in universities or private companies such as pharmaceuticals. Again, you can be a bioinformatics scientists. You can also work in industry research and development, where now you are the guys that are producing the vaccines. You are the guys that are producing all the biological therapeutics and all of that. or you could be a medical geneticist. So a medical geneticist is someone really who is able to diagnose genetic disorders from the patients that are presenting with it. And medical geneticists work very closely with genetic counselors. So where can you work? You can work either in an academic or research institution, such as universities, CSIR, agricultural research functions, council, and all of those. You can be in diagnostics, the people that diagnose disease. For example, if you work, you can work at Lancet or NICD. Those are the guys that were helping us with the diagnosis of SARS-CoV-2 and many other diseases that they can diagnose using genetic techniques. You can work in a pharmaceutical industry where you are selling some of the products in genetics, or you are running clinical trials. You can work in the food production or agriculture environment where you are breeding new fruits, or you are making stronger crops or stronger cattle that can survive disease and drought and so on. Or you can work in the environmental space where, if you are interested in cleaning up of the environment, whether it's water, soil, you name it. And finally, you can work also for the government in legislation where you are responsible for making policies such as the ethics that I've described, where you understand the genetics, and you also use that information to sort of guide people on how to handle samples, how to handle genetic information that they are getting either from other people or from the environment. And finally, you can also work for the South African Police Service, the forensics side of it, where you look at crime scenes and collecting DNA from those crime scenes and try to match it to a possible perpetrator. So I'll just share my journey, a little bit of where I started, where I am now. So I was born in Davidton, in Ekurhuleni, which is the east of Johannesburg, and I am currently doing my PhD in life sciences, and I am also a lecturer in biotechnology. You will see also later that genetics and biotechnology are very related, such that if you have a degree in biotechnology or genetics, you can do either or, okay? And that's just a photo of me working in the lab. And so I matriculated in 2019, and I wanted to be a medical doctor because I thought medical doctors are the ones that treating diseases, but then I actually I'm responsible for drug discovery, and then actually realized later that genetics and such, that's where really I need to be. So I had a little bit of a pivot there because I thought I knew what I wanted, but actually what I wanted was not the medical degree, but rather the science degree, which is where you where the core of drug discovery is. So then I did my BSc in genetics and developmental biology, as well as biochemistry and cell biology. So in most universities, you will major in two majors. So my majors here were genetics and biochemistry. And I did this at Wits University, and I then did my honors in human genetics, and where also I had a research project where I was looking at the genetic causes of this disease called systemic lupus. So lupus is an autoimmune disease, which means your own immune system is attacking your own cells. Instead of attacking foreign cells such as viruses, it actually attacks your own normal cells. So I was looking at what is the cause at the genetic level for that. And during that time also, I worked as a petrol attendant at Engine to try and also raise some money for me to be able to register for my studies and also survive my year at varsity. I then completed my master's in molecular and cell biology, where now I was looking at the genetic causes of chronic kidney disease in African populations. Again, looking at what are the genetic bases of the disease in African populations. And this was also around the time of the FISMA's fall when I was completing this. And following that, then I dedicated myself to teaching very well, that I was awarded a teaching assistant award in that same year and appointed as a lab technician. So if you go back now to those careers, I talked about being a lab technician. So that was my first job. And then in 2017, I joined Unisa as a lecturer of biotechnology, and I have been teaching biotechnology and genetics because these two fields are very much related. Biotechnology relies a lot on genetics. So people who do biotechnology need that genetic basis, that knowledge of genetics. And then I'm also completing my PhD at the moment now, where I'm looking at the development of drugs against cancer. So what my day looks like, usually it involves a little bit of teaching. Not every day, but most of the time I'm teaching undergrads and postgrads, undergrads online and postgraduates physically in the labs, because that's what they have to be physically there to be able to do the work. And I'm also on my own side busy with my PhD working on anti-cancer drug discovery. I think I've already spoken a little bit about this, but for you to be able to be a geneticist, you must do an undergrad either in genetics, biochemistry, microbiology, biotechnology. All of those have a foundation of genetics, and then in postgrad, then you can be more focused. And probably if you want to choose genetics, then you go the genetics route. If you choose biotechnology, you go that route. But you will find very often that these career fields are very related, that you can literally jump from one to the next. You can jump from genetics into biochemistry or micro into the other, okay? Because these four careers are very much so related. As you may also see that my honors and masters were strictly on genetics, but now my PhD has aspects of genetics, biochemistry, as well as biotechnology. So the skill set is pretty much the same. And these are some of the highlights of the jobs. You know, I enjoy interacting with students. These are some of the undergraduate students that come to our labs to do their practicals. I enjoy interacting with them, and I also enjoy doing my own research of actually knowing what is the genetic basis of cancer. What is it in the DNA that is wrong that results in cancer, and how can I fix that either with drugs or alternative ways? So by drugs, I mean medicines, okay? So currently, one of our achievements in the lab is that we have been able to find a particular drug that it is very effective against cancer. And alongside my supervisor, Professor Ndwasa, and we are planning to build a startup biotech company based on that. So now we want to take the drug further from the lab into the actual clinics. We are also busy testing these drugs in mice, and we are also testing an anti-COVID remedy. So it's very exciting for me to work in such a space where you know that you are making an impact in your small way. as much as you're working in the lab, but the impact becomes a bit bigger. So with that said, then I'd like to just to give you a bit of advice. If you're not sure what you're doing, what you want to do, take your time to figure it out and make sure it's something that you will like. Okay, try and meet and fuse the passion that you have, the goals that you have, and also optimize on the skill set that you have. What are you good in? You know, these things will also guide you to choose the best career. Never let any opportunity pass. Take risks. Never give up on your dreams, and always, always serve the community. So with that said, thank you for allowing me to present to you today. I hope I've given you just a nice overview of what genetics is, and all the best with the rest of the program. Thank you very much.
We have a hand from Romeo. Romeo, can you please unmute your mic and ask your question?
Okay. Good day, Prof.
Hi, how are you?
I'm all right, and yourself?
All right, thanks, Romeo.
So if I'm doing BAc measuring with biomedical sciences, can I be able to enroll for BAc honors in genetics, particularly from Unisa?
Yes, yes. So it also, so I'm not sure what is contained particularly in biomedical sciences, because biomedical will be more specific to humans. So it depends on also what you want to do in your with your honors. So if you did a BSc biomedical, it will be very restricted to, you may have learned about genetics, but will also be just be restricted to humans, whereas the BSc genetics covers all aspects of genetics in bacteria, in plants, animals, humans, you name it. So then you can jump ship a bit to genetics, but then since you come from a biomedical background, you're most likely going to be focused on human genetics rather.
Okay, I thank you, sir. I just got the clarification.
Okay.
Thank you.
Cool, thank you.
All right, that was the only hand. However, we do have questions in the chat box. However, I understand that you are rushing somewhere. If you've got Prof, can you just respond to the chat as well? I would appreciate that. We may release you from the center to attend to the next meeting. But thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you for the opportunity. I shall then respond to the questions in the chat later on. Thank you. Enjoy the rest of the program. Bye.
Thank you so much. A round of applause to Prof. Unisa, and much appreciation to him. Thank you very much. Our last speaker for the day is from the Department of Agriculture, Ms. Tinama Mwanchu. Ms. Tinama, are you here? Let me just check with my technical team. Ms. Gloria, is Ms. Tinama here?
Hi, Shares. I think she is using a different device. If she's here, can she just raise her hand? She should be here.
Ms. Tinama, are you here? And while we still wait for her to sort out the technical issues, may I just request that, Gloria, you share the program for tomorrow, because we've got different speakers for these 2 days. Tomorrow we are continuing the same time. However, it will be different speakers. Thank you very much, Flo. Ms. Tinama, are you here? Gloria, while we're still waiting for her as well, can you share the polls so that the student can respond to the polls questions?
Should I share the program for tomorrow?
Yes, and the polls questions as well.
Okay.
All right, thank you very much. The polls are for us to improve on our services. We do pride ourselves on the services that we offer to our students at the counseling unit in Gauteng region. However, we are still open to improvement. So we ask that on the post question, you become honest, you be honest, Remember, it's anonymous, so don't worry about what you are saying. Just be honest about the services that we have offered to you today so that we can improve them and the speakers that you would like to hear the next time you attend this. But this first question are strictly for today. So we'll have first question different for tomorrow because we are having different speakers for tomorrow, right? The first question would read, the information provided was relevant to my own context, studies, or personal. So you just agree, neutral, or disagree, and then you just click submit. Same applies to the next question. So the person will pop up on your screen or in the chat box for you to respond to. Terry, let me know when.
The first question is already up. Can I see that the maybe by the thumbs to know that they can see the first question? If they can just do thumbs up for me.
Yeah, they can see the question.
Okay, should I move to the second question?
Yes.
Can they see the next question?
Can we just get a confirmation from the floor? So Gloria, they appear different on my screen, so they need to press the arrow to go to the next person. I'm not sure how it appears on their side. So it's like it's a bundle of questions that they do need to press next and respond to the next one up until the sixth question. So I'm not sure how it appears on their side. It's a set of questions. You're not posting them individually. All right, thank you. Ms. Tinama, are you here? So yeah, if she's not here, we are going to have to close the session for today and she can join us tomorrow, right? I'm just going to give her a few minutes to join in, and then if she's unable to do that, then she can present tomorrow. Is that okay?
Okay, I think we will do that because I did speak to her this morning and she did confirm that she will, connect when it's almost her time. So I'm not sure what is going on. So I think we will get her for tomorrow because her phone is also not connecting.
Okay, not a problem. Thank you very much. We do have the evaluation link. So the evaluation link has the same questions to the poll. So you don't have to respond to both of them. Respond to either one of them. I hope that is clear. With that being said, Ms. Tinama unfortunately won't be able to join us. She is actually from the Department of Agriculture. She will be split in tomorrow. In the meantime, while we actually allow Dr. Peter, the head of counseling unit in Gauteng region, to come and give us a vote of thanks. In the meantime, please respond to the poll questions that are posted either on the chat box or on your screen. Dr. P, are you here?
Definitely, I'm here, Sharon.
Thank you.
Is the platform mine? I can do the vote of thanks. Okay. Thank you very much to our program director. Thank you very much for steering this ship so efficiently. You did quite a great job. We really appreciate that. And Mr. Mekwa, the host of the event, and Miss Adisha, Sipula Gloria. Let me rather use your name. Ms. Gloria, we are thankful for having hosted and invited this prestigious guests who really shared valuable information with our students. You did quite a great job. We are really thankful for that. And to all our presenters, starting from Dr. Pandaram and Mr. Thako, Mr. Ditshego, and Mr. Mandisa, the genetics one, and Ms. Masuku, the entrepreneur, we are so thankful for the information that you have shared with us. Each and every one of you shared valuable information with our student, starting from what one needs to do registering into a specific field of their choice. I'm sorry about that. The textile industry, we don't know much about that as psychologists, but now we have been educated. And the dietitian, the nutritionist, we appreciate the information we have shared with us. We now understand what it needs to keep ourselves healthy, especially with food. And the entrepreneur, our Unisa students, we have tapped into so many important facts today that I think every one of us who's here, we should now start using our hands to know that with our hands, we can make it happen. We should not rely basically on the profession that we are doing, but we should have side hustles that will make our life easier, especially now with the economy that has grown so high. We really need to be doing something. Use our hands to plow. We all have green hands. We can do something with our lives. And the Professor Malindisa, the information that you shared with us today, it's really, really interesting. And now we understand this concept genetics. It was very good. We really do not know how to thank you, but each and every one of us who presented today, we appreciate your contributions, and I hope that our students have learned a lot and they will be able to join again tomorrow. Colleagues, on that note, even those behind the scene who are making sure that the online platform is working efficiently, we appreciate and we thank you. And let's meet again tomorrow. Thank you.